Right, mate. So how are you and the family doing?
All right, mate. Yeah, it was good. Obviously, been a bit tough times the last couple of years, on it, but we're all good, mate. Mum, dad, sister.
Her line doesn't say it's been tough, mate.
That's come through a bit stronger than from some other parts, yeah.
Right, we'll touch on it later, mate. We'll touch on it later. So before we get stuck into your rugby story, mate, where was home for you and who lived with you?
Like I mentioned, then obviously my mum, dad, and my little sister. Born and raised in Bailey's Close up near Birchie Gardens in Farnworth. Always lived there. Not too far from where Chaz grew up, really, to be honest. Yeah.
Right, mate, right. So how was rugby introduced to you and when did you begin to play for the club or for your school, mate?
To be honest, it was never really rugby at first. It was football, to be honest.
Right.
Started off playing footy when I was about 4 over at Crompton College on a Saturday. And then I was always quite a big lad when I was younger, like stocky and, well, big bone as you get called when you were a big lad when you were younger.
Yeah.
And a couple of years, a couple of dads were asking me to go up and play up at the Wids, like they'd already started playing their lads, and I gave it a go and never looked back. I was about 8.
Right, okay. So the rest was history, which we'll touch on.
Yeah,
so when you say you went up playing football then, mate, was you competitive at home with your sister or did that just come through football?
No, I think everyone is, aren't they? The younger siblings, obviously I'm the oldest, and you give them a bit of grief when they're younger, don't you? We get on now, like, but we never...
good job, innit?
Eye to eye, yeah.
Right, so Crompton College, what was a team? Was a footy team based up at Crompton College, were they?
Yeah, Pexhill.
Right.
Played from them from when I was 4 till I was about 16, 17.
What, on and off, did you, with the rugby, yeah?
Yeah, because obviously football was a Saturday one, so up until I was up until open age, I could play both.
Yeah. Okay.
Dad was the coach, like, so I always played football from like a young age, so.
Right, so we'll touch on, do you remember much about the game at that age? What was it? Little nets, little pitch, how many were on a team? And
yeah, I probably remember from when I was about, like I say, probably similar time to when I started rugby, really, 6, 7. That's when you start getting a bit more competitive. You go in the leagues and stuff like that from that age.
Right, so it's pretty serious from a young...
Yeah, with the footy as well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a competitive league and it was good.
What's the crap with rep stuff, mate, when you're playing football? Is there any sort of like town team or out like that?
No, there's nothing like that really for the footy. It's more just the academies.
Right, okay.
Obviously, it's more like that sort of stuff. You don't get like your Merseyside, your Cheshire and stuff like that. At a young age, you do as you get older a little bit, but when you get to high school. But
okay, so what happened with the rugby then? So you were playing Saturday football, Sunday rugby. Yeah. What were your training nights? Was it literally every night?
It was training for football on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Training for rugby on a Wednesday night.
Right.
And obviously, as you get older, you start with the culture. You start training on Friday, don't you? But
okay, so it was just one night each, mate.
Yeah, one night each. Yeah, mate. When you were younger, yeah.
All right, and the lads that you played with then still your mates now, or?
Yeah. Like I say, obviously, I've got a few good mates who used to play football with. A couple of lads who I'm playing a bit of golf with now and stuff like that, and a couple of lads who are up the Wids and stuff like that.
Sound right posh, mate. So you're living up Farnworth, you play golf in your spare time. You distribute yourself through footy and rugby and your kicking games, gaps.
I know everyone says that. They say you should be doing a kicking game, but no, it's not the best, is it?
Only messing, mate. So do you know when you're in junior school then, how serious was you taking rugby, and was the town team ever an option for you, or was it about when you were at junior school, mate, like year 6?
To be honest, I've never really bothered with the rugby league side.
Right.
I always remember in high school, the town team, I was playing for the Wids, but my teacher put me forward for it.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to go, to be honest. It was one of them. I went. It was over on Wilmere Lane when we had a few training sessions and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't really I never really bothered playing rugby league. Like, it's always just been up the Wids.
Right. So how was your transition into high school then, mate? Because that's when it sounds like your sporting story really kicked off properly, really.
Yeah, it was a strange one because, like, obviously I live up near Birchie Gardens, and I went primary school in Crompton, but then I didn't get into Way Deacon. I went to Bankfield. Luckily, a couple of my other mates from primary school went to Bankfield because they were from Crompton, like they weren't in the catchment area for Way Deacon as well. So it was good.
Do you know when you went back, was it like Richie Rich when he sees the normal kids playing baseball? Is that what you were like?
No, no. Some of it was a bit eye opening, but you like I say, to be fair, with the football and rugby, I knew quite a few lads there at Banky sort of thing. A couple of lads who played football against and played football with went Banky as well, so that was good for me. I think it goes out playing sports like with sort of socialised, doesn't it? So
yeah, it's a bit of a trek from yours, though, isn't it? So what was the crack with the cat? When did the catchment thing kick in?
So basically, the catchment area went a bit strange when I went to school. I think from what I remember, the birth rate was quite high that year, and the catchment area went the opposite way to me, and it was literally about 10 houses down from me, the catchment area. So I think, to be honest, if we'd have actually appealed, I probably would have got in, but.
Right.
I can say a few of my mates were going to Banky, so I wasn't too fussed about it, to be honest. And it worked out in my favour in the end. They had a great time,
Right, top stuff. So, how did you find club rugby from school rugby, mate? Because was you playing rugby union predominantly in high school?
No, well, to be truthfully honest, when I was at school, rugby never really played rugby. I think I remember having one game in the whole 5 years I was at Banky.
That's a bit mad, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I played footy all the time. We had quite a good football team, but then I only ever remember playing rugby once against P&P, and we got absolutely battered.
Yeah. So what was it like then playing football, which you'd have done? So what, you're still doing that one night in the week training, playing Saturday, and then say your school had a game in the week you play the evening. Right.
Yeah.
And was there ever a time when did anyone try and make you choose, or was you allowed to play both right up to leaving?
No, I was allowed to play both, to be honest, because like I say, it was always a Saturday and Sunday, obviously, until you get to the open age, which then you have to make a bit of a choice, but throughout school I played football and rugby.
Right. What was your position in footy, mate?
Centre half.
Yeah, and what?
I was a big kid when I was a bit younger, so
stocky.
Wasn't nimble enough to go up front, no.
So with that group of lads, did you do much with the football, and did anyone go on to do any rep stuff or be signed or like that?
We had a really good team, to be honest. We ended up leaving. We played in the Halton League till we were about 11, 12, when you go to 11 aside.
Right.
And we was always competitive. Like if we didn't win the league, it was second, and we get to the cup finals, and then we ended up going over to the Liverpool League, which was an eye opener. Like when you first went over there, because they call you wolves and trying to rough you up and that. And we played there from when I was 12 till about 16, 17. Right. And again, we were quite competitive. But there's a couple of lads who know. There's one over in America at the moment. He's just finished his scholarship. Like he stayed over there.
Okay.
He's been given a contract by one of the MLS teams, like.
It's not too bad, is it?
No, yeah.
So because you've been in both sports, mate, at a similar level, give or take, it might be a step up or a step down either way. How do you find, like, training attitudes, match attitudes, like the culture of both? Obviously, open age-wise, you'd see culture better, but you've decided, thankfully, to come with us and not play football. But everything else, what were the facilities like? What was training like? What were pitches like?
To be fair, both clubs, I always played with Pexhill and I've always played up at the Wids, like, and luckily both teams have had really good facilities, like, and have actually been money put into them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's quite. That's why I think I enjoyed both teams so much, because we were allowed to we were given the chance to play at a good level. As you know yourself, through the Wids and stuff, they're always trying to push you even more. And the same with the football, like Pexhill were really good with that sort of from a very young age.
Trying to say I'm not good at football.
What's that, sorry?
Well, you said, through the Wids, you're trying to say that I won't be any good at football. Is that
what
you're saying, Ben?
No, I'm sure you're very good at football.
Why are you laughing at that?
No, we have to come down. We started a 7-a-side a few weeks ago.
Oh, have you?
Come down, yeah. A few months back, like Arnie and a couple of lads come down, and
And he's good, mate.
He's a good
Probably
player,
shocked
isn't he?
you.
Yeah, no, he is. He's a good player. Got a cracking touch.
He has for a big lad.
Yeah.
So what type of places were you going then with the football at this time? And we'll touch more on the rugby in a bit, but it's a different world, mate, isn't it? And
yeah,
you've probably seen that. But
yeah, it's similar when at a younger age. It's similar to the rugby where you go and do festivals and tournaments and stuff, and that's what was good at a younger age. You used to go to. We've been to like down in the UK, Great Yarmouth, stuff like that on in competitions and stuff like that. And then it's really round there. Obviously, you go on tours and stuff with the rugby. There's none of that really, or there wasn't it when we were doing. They might do it now with the kids, but we never really went away on tours and stuff like that with the football. But
right, and when you were rocking up to, because Great Yarmouth's a bit of a trek, isn't it? So how many teams would be in a tournament, mate, and what would it consist of? Like what, shorter halves just to get the games in? And
yeah, it was probably between 16 and 30 and 20 teams, probably.
It's good crack then.
Stuff like that. You go down for the weekend,
right?
And you play like a group stage on the Saturday, say, and then knockouts later on the Saturday afternoon, and then you'd have like the finals and stuff on the Sunday,
right?
And then you travel back up on the Sunday night.
So to keep everyone there, would there have been like, like the rugby union have like a league cup, a plate and a ball? Was there stuff like that?
Yeah. So you'd have like a third and fourth and a final and stuff like you see nowadays with the competitions. Yeah.
Okay, mate. So, did you find it easy flicking back into between footy and rugby?
It was tough at first because obviously it's a completely different scenario, isn't it? Like but then once I got used to it, and like I say, I'd done it for a long period of time, so it wasn't too bad. And as I say, I think it did help that the clubs were similar as well, because you were coming into the same environment on a Tuesday night that you were on a Wednesday night going to rugby. The lads wanted to be there. You're having a laugh with your mates, really.
Yeah.
And that's what it was more than anything, to be honest, at that time.
All right. And how was juggling school and the sport you were playing? Were your mum and dad on you, or was you pretty good with it anyway?
No, he had to keep on me for school. I one of them. I like talking and stuff, and I like messing around, really, to be honest. But I like just being with my mates, really, and having a laugh. And they did have to rein me in every so often with the school life sort of thing. And
so, was it a good social thing for you? Because the people we get on, no matter what standard they play, mate, when they find a sport they're into, the school becomes a bit social.
Yeah.
Rather than beneficial, like not beneficial. That's not the right word, but they're there to see their mates.
Yeah.
And to tick boxes rather than excel.
Yeah, no, massively. Yeah. It was that for me with school and even like college and stuff like that. It was a bit more of a laugh than it probably should have been, but.
So when you're climbing with the rugby, mate, even though you're going to these tournaments with the football and you've stepped up a level, is there any rep stuff coming along for rugby? Did the Wids send you to Merseyside?
So like I say, you're about 13, 14, aren't you, when you start getting your sent? So I went through to Merseyside, went a couple of tournaments with them, and then went for Lancashire trials. A couple of our lads got sent for them, and luckily I was chosen. And I made it through the first stage, and then we had like a bit of a tournament, don't you?
I wouldn't know. You're bragging.
Like and no, I never made it to the last part. They went and played. I think they play Yorkshire, don't they, and stuff like that. But
right.
No, it was good. Obviously, you've got you get the ties and all that, don't you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, bit of stash.
Yeah, bit of stash, if nothing else, isn't it, mate?
It is, mate. We love a bit of kit, don't we? Yeah. So if you can just talk us through the process from the club or the school asking you how Merseyside works, where you'd have to go and what you'd have to do, and then how you were invited to Lancashire and how Lancashire works, mate, please, for people that might not know.
Yeah, so obviously, like I mentioned briefly before, with the town team sort of thing, it was never really on my radar because I didn't play rugby league, but for one time we did have a game, and obviously we played rugby with the school and stuff, and Mr Burke, the PE teacher, you might know him, Neil Burke, he was the PE teacher at the time at Banky, and he mentioned to a couple of us about going down. So we went down, I think it was a Saturday morning, down at Wilmere Lane. Usual drills, kicking, passing, bit of contact, bit of tick and pass and stuff like that, which was good, to be honest, because I didn't really want to go. But when you actually get there, it's a lot better than you worry about the night before, innit, and stuff like that. And then, to be fair, in terms of Merseyside was great. I really enjoyed that. I think there was about three, if I remember, if it was about 3 or 4 sessions on like a Wednesday night up at West Park.
Okay.
So you go to them 3 or 4 sessions. Obviously, you've got your teams from around there, us, LSH, Liverpool Collegiate. There was quite a few lads from ourselves and Liverpool Collegiate, to be fair, in our year. We both had good teams. And then you select the squad, you trim it down, and you go to where we played. We had a tournament at LSH. There's a couple of different, like Merseyside, Cheshire, stuff like that, all got together. You have like a bit of a round robin tournament. And that was a good laugh, right? And then obviously you kick on then, hopefully, to Lancashire side of sort of things. That's a bit more serious than Merseyside and the town team. Like, and again, I think, to be honest, ours might have actually been at West Park again. A few training sessions. I know, like I say, it was a bit more serious. You could tell it was a bit more stepped up, with the coaching and stuff like that. And it was good though, because like obviously we had a good coach at the time at the Wids with Dave Breedlin, like, but it was good to see that sort of style that they were trying to put into you.
Right.
And like I say, I really enjoyed it. It's good to try and step up and test yourself. I've always liked to test myself.
And you certainly felt that, did you, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, you do massively. You feel that bit of pressure. I think it's probably one of the first times you feel pressure is a bit of, as a kid sort of thing, going to these sort of things, don't you?
Yeah.
Trying to impress and stuff. And
so were you okay on? So, for your club days, which there's daft questions later, and one of them is partially this, but was you all right on a Saturday and Sunday for your club? Was you a bit just go out and enjoy it, or?
Yeah, I think that was all. Like I say, I think it was always drilled into us to just, as kids anyway, definitely to go and enjoy yourselves more than anything, because you are playing your mates on a Saturday and Sunday, aren't you?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you have the cup finals and the stuff like that, and you start feeling a bit of pressure. But I was never one of them who'd work myself up before a game and start panicking and stressing out and stuff like that. It was just, you had to trust yourself and know you could go out with your own ability, and you were there for a reason. You've been put there for a reason.
Yeah. How did you feel in? Because that's what I felt about Merseyside. It was a bit like, so I'm from town, so it's a little bit a step down from up your end, mate. So, but when you go Merseyside, joking aside, it's very much council estate lads. Mum and dads have normal jobs. They go normal schools.
Yeah.
And then the minute you start getting past Merseyside, the ethos changes a little bit, doesn't it?
I know what you mean completely. Yeah.
So how did you feel that? Did you see that? And did you? Because when I've been in the past, mate, I think I went and they all had the Lancashire gear already on. Yeah,
I think it's a little bit clicky, isn't it, with the Lancashire stuff?
Yeah, I
don't want to say
what
that.
I'm getting at. Yeah,
basically, yeah. I know what you mean, because I think, and there's certain teams who's coaching at Lancashire who, like you say, turn up in Lancashire gear already, don't they? And that's a little bit intimidating in itself. Thinking, oh, here we go. Well, he's going to play in my position, so I may as well try my best. But sometimes your face just doesn't fit, does it? Or like you say,
that's it, mate. Your background or whatever, accent. So how would you, as a kid, if it didn't go your way? So the things we're talking about now, you've managed to progress. What happens when, for better use of a term, mate, a door sort of shuts in on you? Are you someone that takes it well? Did you take it to heart? Was it a personal pop at you? Did you feel at that age? Or?
I think it was always drilled into me to not try and take it to heart. I think, especially as a kid, you've got to try and not, because you can't half bring yourself down. And if you're coming home and you're worrying about it and you're thinking about it, I was always told not to worry about it. So another door's going to open. So, and if you're right for it, then it's good for you. Like, but there's a reason why you've not been picked, and sometimes like we've just said, then it's not because of you.
Yeah, which is the worst bit. But as a kid, you don't see the politics.
You don't think that as a kid. You think, I've done something wrong, or
of course you do.
Your mum and dad have always said to me, like, listen, like, try not to dwell on things, and rather than the glass half empty, it's a glass half full, isn't it? And stuff
good
like that.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So when you come back, mate, do you take things you've learned into your game? Do you try and do people come and watch? Because I know you didn't play rugby league, but rugby league's very active scout wise, isn't it? I don't think
It's a lot
I could
different
ever
in rugby
recall.
union, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
I don't think I can ever
Especially,
recall coaching you. Is anyone coming or
We,
you know?
no, not massively. No, like you say, it's a bit different with the scouting wise in terms, of, especially in Widnes.
Yeah,
It's very rugby league driven, isn't it? And you've got your Widnes, your Warringtons, and stuff like that around here. Whereas around here, you're looking at like the likes of Sale, aren't you? If that sort of thing.
at a push,
At a push, yeah, it's not that close really. So unless you're like Sam Burgess or something like that, they're probably not going to come and see you, are they?
No, mate, no. And how was the football? So as you're getting more serious with the rugby, I imagine the football's getting a bit more serious, mate. So how does it work with rep stuff, or as much as there isn't rep stuff, are there like quite serious tournaments where academies will come and watch? Or
yeah, especially like I say, it's probably where you are. Because we was playing in Liverpool, you had quite a few scouts coming out and stuff and watching, and you'd see the fella in his Liverpool trackie or his Everton trackie, or
nice and discreet.
Nice and discreet. He wanted to don't he?
Yeah.
But no, we played at a good standard in the Liverpool League, and like there was most weekends some sort of scout there.
Okay.
Especially when you get to that sort of 13, 14, 15 age, when we're looking at taking on the academies and stuff like that, and it was good. Like it was a good standard, like I say. But
and the other thing I imagine in football, it's just difficult to break through. I've got mates that have been very good, and I don't know until you go a live game, I suppose, you don't understand how good some players are at the things you'd expect them to just be able to do, if that makes sense. So the touch, like the shape, everything, you see it different, don't you? And we'll touch on it later because you know about go footy and stuff, don't you? But what are kids like when it comes to the business end of like a tournament, or when the scouts there? Did the kids go a bit greedy? Did he play for themselves?
Yeah. You see certain kids go very, very greedy, yeah.
Like even in your team, there was a
couple. And like I say, when you play at that decent standard, there's the odd one who does stand out, but then there's the odd one who tries a little bit too hard to try and stand out, and it ends up affecting the team, because there's nothing worse than someone just trying to do everything themselves, because you can't do everything yourself, and that's the whole part of being a team, innit, at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, it is, mate. So when you're at the back end of school, then, mate, you've been playing footy and rugby. How's the exams looking? How are you? And what are you looking to do leaving school?
To be honest, it was one of them. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Well, I wanted to be a teacher at first, to be truthfully honest. And again, I was academic, but I never pushed myself to get them grades, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I see, like we've touched on before, I did see school as a sort of a laugh and a joke, and everyone says you could go back now, they try a lot harder, but no, you enjoy your school time and exams and stuff. I was never forced to go and sit and revise for 4 hours a night, and it was left up to me, sort of thing. But my mum and dad always seemed to know when to step in and say, listen, you need to pick this up a bit, and they want the best for you, don't they? So
Of course they do, mate, yeah.
And yeah, sort of that back end of school, it is a bit stressful with the exams, and you think the world's ending, but then when you come into the real world, it's nothing really, is it?
No, mate.
Tell you that the exams shape your life for the rest of your life, but if you're honest about it, you don't really.
No, don't get me wrong, they get looked at, don't they? And
yeah,
I think probably for your first couple of years, they probably do dictate to a degree where your life goes. So
yeah.
if you'd have not got your grades, mate, and say you went down the teaching route, you might have had to have done an extra year or two, might you?
Yeah.
Just through one grade. But after that, then it's about people find the people that they want to invest in, not the grades. Yeah. Which is hopefully the right thing.
Yeah.
And did anyone ever tell you growing up, mate, that listen, once you blink and you leave school, you're 21 and you're in the thick end, and you just go, man, you're on effing business, don't you? And
it's mad, isn't it?
You know better, mate.
You couldn't have a day about it with me now, and it was like I'm 25 in December, and it feels like I left school yesterday, and stuff like that. And they do say it, don't you, when you're a kid? Oh, make sure you enjoy your school years, because you'll wish you're going back, and you think, like you just said, then I'll piss off. Like I don't like school, like, but then when you think about it now, you're in the real world. You love school, really.
That's it. And you'd probably, like you said before, you not necessarily go about it different. You probably just approach it a bit different. I think you build school up to be somewhere at end. And then when you're in the real world, then, mate, there's no going back, is there?
No, not at all. No.
So what happened leaving school then, mate? Where did you go, and when did you have to decide football or rugby, and what made you decide?
So to be fair, with the football and rugby side, it was open age. So that's sort of like 17, 18. So you play Colts till you're obviously senior Colts, which we'll probably touch on in a bit. But
yeah,
you play that, and then you've got to choose then. And to be truthfully honest, I chose football.
Right.
One of my good mates at the time, his dad was the coach up at the Parklands, and he'd been pestering me for a year or so to go up, and I sort of fell out of love with football a bit, to be honest. When I was 16, 17, I was really enjoying my rugby, and I made the decision to stop playing football. And then obviously you start drinking, and we were drinking up at the Parklands, to be fair, at the time, and
rolling in it.
Well, we were 16, 17, to be honest. It was the only place that let us in.
Right.
Obviously, disclaimers there, like, but you know what I mean. And Ego was asking me to go up, and I made the choice to go up there. And to be honest, it was mainly the social side that brought me back to the open age at the Wids. Like, I'd done a year and a half up at the football and fell back in love with it. And then you can quickly fall out of love with things. And to be honest, to put a bit of size on and football, I was struggling a bit with the football, and I came and played the game for the Wids on a Saturday. I think football got cancelled or something. It was chucking down. And I got a text to come and play up at the Wids for the seconds, and I've never looked back like it. I played and then stayed up all night and done the drinking and the dancing on the pool tables and stuff like that.
Signed a lifelong deal.
Yeah, signed a lifelong contract with the Wids, yeah. So we're there for life now. But yeah, no, it was, we were about 18 where I had to sort of decide and make my mind up.
So what did you find the difference from growing up training playing football to all of a sudden playing men's football? Because I don't think there is like the rugby union do probably a bit of a nicer transition, don't they?
Yeah, you got
your junior and senior coach. Yeah. Well, what does football do? Is it like 18 straight into men's?
You can go into like it's not a cult sort of league, but it's something similar to that sort of setup where you play a couple of years together. So like you do at Colts with 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
But it's not as sort of structured as it is with there's not as many opportunities to do it. Whereas rugby, you've got to have you do your senior, you do your junior, your senior Colts, and then you go into the open age.
Yeah.
So you're sort of building yourself up before you get to open age. Whereas with football, like you say, it's a bit like you're playing 17-year-olds one point, and then 2 weeks later, end of the season, your pre-season comes around, you're playing for all your own men. And I don't care what anyone says, there is a difference. There's maybe not ability difference, but physical wise, and you're a young kid, you've probably had it with rugby, you want to kick 10 shades of everything out, you don't need. And
yeah, you've got a nice target on your back.
You've got a target on your back by the old fellas who think you're too young and stuff like that, and want to make a mark and prove that you can still play. And it's the same with football, like, and get the odd flying elbow and stuff like that on going up for headers and stuff like that. They do try and leave your mark on your master's, like.
What were the differences in training, mate? What do you do differently?
It's probably actually a little bit less structured.
Right. Well, as you get older.
As you get older, yeah, because you've got that ability as you're getting older. Probably it's a bit less with rugby because you're always doing drills and stuff with rugby. And don't get it wrong, you do the football drills, but you've got that ability. If you've either got it or you've not. With the football, I think more than the rugby, I think you can gradually get better at the rugby. Whereas sort of by mid-teens, you're either a good footballer or a really good footballer or an average footballer. So the drills get a lot less structured, obviously, unless you're doing certain moves, practicing certain setups and stuff like that. That's a bit structured. But in terms of the actual, I don't know, not even intense. The word's not intensity that I'm looking for, but it's completely different. You stay structured all the way up through rugby, whereas I felt anyway, as you're getting older with the football, it gets a lot less structured at training.
Yeah, because I imagine with football, I don't want to insult anyone, but I imagine it's more loose.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, where in rugby, if you are getting loose, you find the touchline and you're back to a structure, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're back to some form of shape where I think with football, say the ball can be in the air for a while, can't it? And then someone might want to bring it down, but then it goes back up or it goes back to the keeper. A lot of the keepers now play like an outfield player, but back when I was growing up, and probably a little bit when you was. They just pump it along, wouldn't they? And then it's back in the air and that. So I imagine it's harder to play a bit of structure football. That's just an outsider looking in. Because I know if we were ever going to bother, I'd just say to you, find a touchline.
Yeah.
And then we just regather. Someone take in here, something like the knackered or something.
Yeah.
Like the ref stop playing, we go again then, mate, don't we? And we set back up and get set. I imagine it's harder in football. I was just wondering how you can train for a game you can't really dictate.
Yeah, it's different, like you say, with rugby. You sort of can dictate it a bit more. Obviously,
Gosh,
you
can.
You set sort of formations and stuff with the football, but I think it's a completely different sort of. I think you sort of can understand what a team's going to do at rugby. You know how they're going to play. Whereas with football, unless you've played that team before, then 9 times out of 10 you're not got a clue how they're going to set up, sort of thing.
Right. So let's talk about junior Colts then, mate, because that would have been your introduction really to the social side of rugby and a young man's game, should we say, isn't it? So how was junior Colts sold to you, and who was your coach, who was about, and what did you enjoy most about junior Colts?
We sort of got integrated quite well, to be honest. I thought it was well the way they'd done it. We finished our under-16 season, isn't it? Last season before Colts.
Yeah. And
towards the end of the season, obviously Paul Newell was the coach of the Colts at the time. You know, everyone knows what Paul Newell's like. And he actually approached Dave and said, listen, let's try and get the lads up and sort of try and integrate them into this team that we've got. So that was sort of even before pre-season. So it was a bit of like a pre-season. Our season came to an end and we went up. And then, to be honest, it was a bit bad for me, to be honest, because I got glandular fever. So I went up for about 3-4 weeks and absolutely loved it. Was getting integrated. Obviously, some of my really good mates now were from that team, and then I didn't play then for 3, 4, 5 months because I couldn't play. Obviously, I don't know how much you know about glandular fever, but once you actually have it, you can't play for a while because of health risks and stuff like that. So my junior Colts first half of the season was really disrupted. But the main one was everyone kept me involved constantly. That was the main thing that was driven and stuff like that. Even with the lads who weren't playing, Paul Newell, Chris Whitfield was the assistant at the time, and Dave Breeden helped them out. And that's the big thing about Colts, and it's the social side, like you say. It's your first real introduction to the social side of the Wids, and that's where the love really starts for the club, isn't it, I think, to be honest. Yeah.
So what did you get that away, mate? Where did you get that glandular fever?
Yeah, it was caught in Tenerife.
Right.
I went away with my mate's family, to be honest, and we went out a few nights in Tenerife and back and ended up catching that. And obviously, we know how we gets caught, right? But we won't go too much into that. In case anyone's watching, you know what I mean? But
yeah. No, so I didn't know how it worked. So you've missed 5 or 6 months, mate?
Yeah, probably. I think if I remember rightly, my first game that I played was probably after Christmas. Coming back after the Christmas break, I remember having an absolute stinker. Because obviously, to be honest, I lost about 3 stone off it because it messes with all that sort of stuff. And I remember I come on as a sub, and obviously I come on at fullback, and knew he had been told these things about me and stuff. Pretty similar to what you said before. He plays football and stuff, and he should be able to kick a ball and all that. And I remember coming on at fullback, and I think I did about 4 kicks, and I think they went from me to bloody about 5 yards in front of me. It was shocking. And I thought, oh no, I'm never going to play again here. Paul's seen this now, and I thought, oh God. And then, to be fair, obviously, luckily, I think he took a bit of a liking to the social side that I brought across. So I kept on his good side with that sort of thing. But
right. And growing up, what position would you have played, mate? Because obviously, I know where you've established yourself at. But
yeah. Well, like I said, I was quite a big lad, so I actually started off as a prop.
I don't want to be there, do you?
No, when I first come up, I started off as a prop, because again, I was a big lad and played there for about 2-3 years. And to be fair, obviously, it was at the time where it wasn't proper scrimmaging. Because I was like 8, 9, 10. It was just sort of. And luckily, I one pre-season we come in and Dave just said, "Look, we're going to make a few changes to the lads. Like it was a big group, and one of them was moving me from prop to centre. I shot up a little bit
Yes,
over the summer and stuff, so I went straight from prop to centre. So we've all got Dave Green to thank or not thank, depending on how you want to look at it.
So how old was you there then?
I was about, if I remember rightly, it was about 11, 12 where I moved over into the centres.
Do you remember how you felt there initially? Because it's a big shift.
Yeah, it's a big shift. It was, to be honest, I liked it because I like playing with the ball even at prop, and picked up the core skills of the handling and stuff quite quickly. Because with other sports, I used to play a bit of cricket and stuff when I was younger, and I think that was one of the other reasons why you moved me, because I did have a decent set of hands on me, even at prop sort of thing, and I liked running with the ball. And like I say, I lost a little bit of weight, shot up a bit, and he made that decision to move me into the centres.
Right.
So I've stayed there ever since.
And how was your first game there? And was you always a 12, Macca?
Always 12, mate. Yeah, he put me at 12 straight away. A bit of a crash ball, I think, when I was a bit bigger, when I was younger.
Well, I only asked that because defensively, I think it's probably easier at 12, isn't it, than 13?
Yeah.
So what does it take defensively from a 12 point? i.e., are you vocal? Do you have to trust your 10 and 12, or even trust your back row a little bit more than your 10 to be able to work better with your 13 to push off? How does all that work for you as you've grown up?
Yeah, it's massive, that trust. You've got to trust your 10, but like you've said, then you've got to trust that back row to then support the 10, because like you say, you're drifting up and out, aren't you, to support your 14 at 12. But like it's key to be vocal as well, because I know everyone says the 10 sets the offside line, but I think it's key that the centres are quite vocal as well, talking to each other, trusting your inside push is the big one, like massively.
Yeah.
And you have got to be able to trust that back row, probably maybe even more than your 10, really, because I think sometimes your back row probably ends up coming past the 10, really. Sometimes, obviously, one's in his inside, but sometimes you do get the back rows coming inside you, and you then trust them. You build that relationship up as well, like by playing with the same lads, and which is good if you can. And it was even more important when me and Tom played in the centres together when he first came up. That was a good couple of years.
I was saying that because for listeners and viewers that might not understand rugby union that well, off the back of the scrum, mate, if you're 7, mainly going to be your 7. So if you're 7 or you're 8, can sort of push you to 13 and play 12.
Yeah.
Not only does your 10, fingers crossed, not need to make a tackle.
That's there, massively, yeah.
But then you can push off, and it leaves us matching them with your winger able to drop in case they put it on the toe, doesn't it? So
yeah, massively,
that's all I was getting at, mate. So junior Colts, then how did you find the step up from kid rugby to it's adult rugby, really, isn't it? Because a lot of teams don't come with 17-year-olds, did they?
No, well, especially that first year, because we were 17 and we were playing senior Colts. So we were playing against 19-year-olds, and that first year we went away to Vale of Loon, all them sort of places.
Proper rugby teams.
Like proper rugby teams as well. And it was made massively bigger for me, obviously, with being ill and stuff and losing that lot of weight. I did lose quite a bit of muscle. But I worked on it, and it is like you say, you are going up against, like I say, Vale of Loon. They're all big lads, people from around there, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not there just to take part, like they're there to win, aren't they? And it is a big step up, and competitive wise as well. Like it's competitive up to 16, but I think when you get to that Colt stage, it's them couple of years, I'd say, most competitive rugby I've played personally.
Yeah.
From a trying to win point of view each week in, week out, cup games, Lancashire Cup, obviously that's when that first gets really driven into you with the Lancashire Cup sort of thing and stuff like that. But no, it was, especially for me, that first year was quite a bit of an eye opener with not being too good on the health side, like so.
And also, what viewers and listeners might not know, some of them teams you play against, and you've named one of them, they pay players even from that age. So as much as the key focus will probably be a Saturday, they might only make 10 or 15 minutes on the Saturday. So part of I wouldn't say they have contracts, they'll have a verbal agreement that to fulfil their wages, basically, the brown envelope, they then step up on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So lads that were in your team, probably, without being rude, probably outside of 3 or 4, you weren't ready for that type of rugby, really.
No,
And then you're playing against people that we were playing against in the first team and second team. And it's a rude awakening, isn't it? So when did you play your first open age game then, mate?
I did play an open age game while I was at Colts, because it was Renshaw and they all had the seconds.
Right.
Wasn't the most enjoyable game. I think it was away at Duckenfield, which is, anyone who knows Duckenfield, is absolutely terrible anyway. It was chucking down. So it was, and the pitch is sandy as anything in it. And I think he actually put me on the wing. He put me on the wing, and anyone who knows me knows I absolutely hate playing on the wing. and like I say, it was chucking down. It was the worst pitch. When you're going back in the club, you don't even want to be in the club, so you're probably better out being outside. And like I say, it wasn't the most enjoyable, to be honest. But then, like I say, it was more when I came back after the Colts to the open age when it really kicked on, to be fair, with the seconds and stuff.
You were involved in a big day at the Colts, though, was you? Involved in the home final, mate?
Yeah, I was involved. Like I say, the first year, to be fair to us, both years of my Colts, we won the Lancashire Cup. Right. We beat Fylde the first year at Wigan. That was a great game. Yeah. Some cracking tries in that game. And then, like I say, we were involved in like the last cup finals day at Wids, weren't we? In Bolton, I think we played. It was the league below us, and to be honest, we'd gone unbeaten all year in the league, and we went in a bit. I think some of us, including probably myself, went in a bit thinking, "Oh, here we go, Bolton in the league below us," and I think they went something like 10-15-0 up.
Yeah, it was touch and go for a bit, wasn't it?
And we were like, "Oh no, what's going to happen? We're going to get beat here in front of the whole and how embarrassing is this going to be by getting beat by a team from the league below us?" And then anyway, we sorted ourselves out and got a few tries on the bounce, and we ended up coming away with the win, which was massive. And then obviously being at your own club and stuff, and getting to lift Lancashire Cup outside the Wids on the steps and stuff, it was a massive day, and it was a great night afterwards as well.
Yeah. So how are you on them big days? And as much as I asked the pros, I asked the semi-pros, I asked us lads, and the answers are all the same. You tell people it's just a normal game and you haven't done anything different, but I think you'll agree you do things differently, and it isn't just a normal game, is it? So what was the lead up to the game like the week before? Because I know it's a big thing for the club, isn't it? At Colts level, it's something they let you know about, don't they? And
I think both years felt massively different for me personally. Obviously, the first year I was sort of in and out the team, not really playing my position in that first season because I was a junior Colts, and I didn't feel as much pressure that first year. But then obviously the second year, because we only played the year we won it the second time, we had no under-19s. It went to an under-18s, so it was only ourselves in the year below us. So it was our last year. Our last game was Colts and stuff like that, and that felt a lot more pressure as well, being in front of the home crowd and stuff. And I mean, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not one of them who have to be sick before a game or anything like that, or think too much into. But like you said, then if you go into a game like that, not a little bit nervous in front of your home crowd and your last game for Colts and Lancashire Cup final, you're lying to whoever you're telling you're not bothered about it. Like,
what a game as well at all. Your last Colts game, Lancashire Cup final.
Shame we had to play in the blue kit.
Oh, it's not flattering that, mate, is it?
No, back in some of the photos now, you think, Jesus.
And that's when your boss were.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Won't get one arm in it now, I don't think, that blue kit.
So when that stage is over, mate, where are you in your life with your education or a job? Where are you in your life with, do you even still want to play adult sport? Are you looking to travel? Are you looking... Because I know, a bit like me, you like your travel, you like your gigs, you've got your girlfriend, you just go away a bit. So where does it leave you at the back end of Colts?
To be honest, I started, like I mentioned before, with the exams and stuff, and I wasn't too fussed. And I didn't do very well at college, and I ended up having to go out and get a job, a full-time job, which I do now. As a trainee site manager at the time with a house builder. So that was I've done that in the last year of Colts. So then they put me through college and just finished uni now. They put me through all that. And that's where I'm sort of at now, obviously progressed as an assistant at the moment, looking to progress a bit more with that at the moment. That was that. And then, like I mentioned, obviously leaving Colts, it was a bit of a. I didn't fall out of love with rugby, but I'd fell back in love with the football, and I had to make a decision with them both going, because open age is both on a Saturday with the football and the rugby.
Yeah.
And I made that decision. Don't get me wrong, I loved that first season of football. I did, but then, like you say, with that game getting cancelled and coming back up and playing, and I found that love. I didn't fall out of love with rugby, but I found that love even more again, and then wanted to just come back for more again, and found that hunger for rugby again, really, to be honest.
Yeah, so it was probably a bit, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you've probably achieved everything you've wanted to in the rugby at that point, haven't you? And
especially at that age, yeah. Like you say, especially when you're at Colts, it's driven into you how big this Lancashire Cup is and how big stuff like that. And that second season, like I say, we went unbeaten until, I'll touch on it in a bit with stories and stuff, until we went and played in the League Cup against Caldy. That's another story for in a bit. But we'd done everything that year, that season. We went unbeaten in the league, won the league by God knows how many points. Went and won the Lancashire Cup at home at the Wids, and sort of, it, like you say, it feels like you've achieved it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I felt like maybe I felt a little like I'd missed out a bit on football and not fully closed that door on football. And I went and done it, and like I say, I enjoyed myself, but there was just a few bits that weren't the same as when I come back up the Winston and that sort of side of stuff. You
wouldn't have known unless you'd have went, mate, would you?
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And you can't blame yourself for wanting to have another go at something. It happens, doesn't it? People have done it before, they'll do it again, mate. So you touched on it there, and you've just brushed over it like it doesn't mean a lot. But you got to throw your hat in the air, mate, didn't you? And you finally got that graduation done. So talk us through it, and the hard work, the sacrifices you have to make to do that type of thing, mate.
Yeah, it was... Again, I've been really lucky. Like I said, work have put me through my HNC, and I finished uni. What was it in 20? It was last year. I finished uni. Got my degree in construction management. I've been lucky enough to be put through that by them. And as I say, it's been a bit strange with COVID, because I finished last year and we had no graduation, so it was a bit like we were meant to graduate like last year, this similar time to last year, and they cancelled it because of COVID. Then we were supposed to do it towards Christmas, and they cancelled it again. And it was one of them. It was as if it was never going to happen. And then, obviously, this time, luckily, it's happened. And it was nice, obviously. Don't know whether you touched on it with Jack, but we were both there on the same day, and had a couple of drinks beforehand and stuff. And it was a nice day to celebrate with both our families, really, because got a few pictures outside Paddy's wigwam and with your hat on. And Jack managed to sneak in a hit flask and stuff like that. So it was a good laugh. We had a good day.
Brilliant, mate.
It was as if similar to like we just said about the Lancashire Cup, it was as if everything come to an end and you finally achieved what you wanted to achieve with it, and it was nice, mate. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah,
I was going to say, and thankfully in a nice way, wasn't it? And would it have bothered you if it didn't happen, Ben? Or
it sounds a bit weird, but it's nice, isn't it, to have that
cap it off,
you've got your whatever your certificate and all that. It's nice to bring something to an end, and it might have felt maybe a little bit like it never come to an end if that didn't happen. There was some lads who I knew from our course who never went, and I never really understood it, because like you say, it's nice to come.
You're never going to do it again.
There's nothing else you go in and see, because there's lads there I've not seen for 2 years, because last year at university we didn't go into university because of COVID. So there's lads and girls who I've not seen there for 2 years who I was really close to at uni, and it was nice to catch up with them and have a natter with them and have a drink with them and stuff like that. And it was a really nice day. And plus, it's a day off work, innit, if nothing else.
So just touching on that before we move on, the fact that it was all online learning and that, are you someone that needs or wants instant feedback face to face, or was you happy enough with the Zoom or the Teams or whatever?
I'd say it was a lot different that last year to the 2 years beforehand, where, like you say, you could, if there was something wrong, you'd just stay behind for 5 minutes and speak to the tutor or your learning tutor and stuff like that. Whereas you had to book appointments with them on Zoom, so you could be waiting a week, 2 weeks, where you can't do anything because you're waiting to hear back from them, it's frustrating, because you don't want to. I always used to do it, but I tried not to do it at uni, where you leave your assignment till the night before and you're up till 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get it typed out and go into college the next day like a zombie. I tried not to do it at uni, but it was hard in that last year, because you were waiting a week to 2 weeks sometimes to get feedback off tutors, and there wasn't nothing. Don't get it wrong, there was nothing they could do personally because obviously they've not created COVID or anything like that. But it was hard that last year, and like you say, it's nice to have your mates who you go uni with to be able to learn from as well. Because like I say, some of them live in St Helens, some live in Liverpool. You don't see them. So that Thursday, because it was 1 day a week while I was working.
Right.
So that Thursday, it used to be like a nice day because you go and see everyone, catch up with people, and
it breaks your week up, like you said, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And
breaks the 9 to 5.
But, got 1 day left then on the Friday.
That's it.
But
just imagine how mad it is for people that only know uni to be like that.
Yeah. Well, to be
honest, at least you got the opportunity to experience uni how it should be, rather than over Zoom or whatever it is. Yeah.
Like I say, luckily I've been covered with mine, but I can't imagine the people. Well, my girlfriend's one of them who've had 3 years at uni and never even seen a tutor face to face, and they're paying half amounts of money and they're paying for a Zoom.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's terrible.
It's like the way's giving me a degree for this. No, but it's mad, isn't it? Because unfortunately, she's missing out on apparently some of the best experience of your life.
Yeah, again, it might have been different. Obviously, I stayed at home, where some people go away, don't they? But stuff like that, and Becky was staying at home anyway. But even people doing that, they've not been able to move out, or they've had to stay there. They can't come home. There was times where people were staying at the uni accommodation constantly because they weren't allowed to come home to see the families and stuff. So it's been a very strange time the last couple of years, hasn't it? With that sort of kind of stuff. But
right, so we won't touch on the politics of football and that, but how was it going back into that environment? And then how was when you were leaving that environment? Is it a door that would be open for you again if you wanted it to be, or does it leave a bit?
I think personally for myself, I don't mind a 6-a-side or a 7-a-side mess around with my mates, but I think that sort of competitive football, I think it's gone for me now, sort of thing. And obviously I am still really enjoying my rugby at the moment, and again, I'd have to give up rugby to go back to football. And at this moment in time, I can't see it happening.
It's good news for us.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah. You never know.
Yeah. No, it is, mate. Of course it is. Yeah, so was the second team always where you played your rugby? So did you not have to delve into the third team to climb the ladder? Was it just straight in at twos level, was it?
When I come back, I went straight back into the twos. I've played a couple of games, for the thirds and stuff like that if they needed, or our game got cancelled, and I'm more than happy to do so. But when I first come back, that was where I went straight back into the twos.
And has leadership always been a part of your game in either football or rugby, mate, or is it something that you've developed, or you might have just fell into it, Mac, and it might not be something you ever thought you would do?
I think it helps especially the positions I play in. Obviously, I played centre back in football and centre in rugby, which are both very central positions on the pitch and key areas where you've got to be vocal. So I have always been very, very vocal, but whichever sport I played, I wasn't captain at football, but I was vice captain from a young age until I finished. So it was always that sort of leadership again from that sort of point of view. And a couple of times, obviously, it's a bit different when you're junior rugby. You don't sort of have a set captain, do you?
No.
So I was a captain a couple of times, a vice captain a couple of years, and I enjoy it. I think some people get affected by it, and I don't see it as something to affect you. I think you've got to take it on your chin, and you've got to be that one. Sometimes it's frustrating because you do want to just scream and shout at people and you can't, sort of thing. But I think it does. I don't think it affects my game. Is what I'm sort of trying to get at in that sense.
I don't think I ever thought it affected your game, mate, to be fair to you. And it's the twos captaincy is a bit like the twos coach. It's hard.
Yeah.
You're half thought on it because if your aspirations are to play under Andy Mack and play for the first team, sort of rules you out.
Yeah.
But then if you are going to be there, you want to be able to impose yourself and pipe up if you need to.
Definitely, yeah.
So you're in a rock and a hard place, really, mate. But we'll touch on first team because it's happened a couple of times for you. And you've mentioned unbeaten runs and going to Caldy, and so where does that fit into your rugby, mate? Talk me through that.
The Caldy game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, less I speak about that game, the better, to be honest. But the
Right.
backstory to it was obviously we got unbeaten in the league, and we went to, I think it was Bowden for the club presentation, for the trophy presentation for the league.
Yeah, Jack's mentioned this evening.
Yeah, to be honest, we were the only team drinking, and I mean we were having a good go. Like obviously, you know what we're like, so me and Jack and Tom and that we'll have a good go. Like anyway, I don't think Tom realised he had to do it, but he had to get up and do a speech. He had to accept the trophy. So anyway, we were all well gone at this point, so we were all cheering and that. And anyway, Tom went up on the stage, and we found out earlier in the week that we were playing Caldy in the League Cup. And anyway, I think they got unbeaten in their league, and we had. And anyway, Tom O'Neill got up on the stage and basically just called Caldy out in front of everyone. And we were all cheering and that, like, proper up for it and stuff. And basically called them out and said, "See yous on blah de blah. One unbeaten run has to end," and all this. And we went, "Oh." Anyway, we carried on with that night and stuff. Didn't think anything of it. And anyway, the game was actually after Paddy's night, which is obviously not a good mix. Anyway,
yeah, not with you, anyway.
We'd all been out on Paddy's night, and I was a little bit worse for wear on this Sunday, and when I say worse for wear, I was like throwing up on the side of the pitch this bad, like, and this was mid-afternoon. You play mid-afternoon at Colts, don't you? Still, so
you do, mate. Yeah.
And so I was absolutely hanging, and there's a lot of us that were hanging. And anyway, I think I got moved 4 times just to try and get me out of the way of people. I was that bad. I don't think I made one tackle all game, and I think I started off in the centres. They put me from centre to wing to fullback, and this was just to try and get me out of the way of having to make a tackle. Anyway, in the end, I said to Dave, "Listen, you're going to have to pull me off. I can't do this." Anyway, I think we got beat some like 47-5 in the end. We only scored like a proper scummy try right at the end. I think Josh managed to rip the ball off him on the line or something like that, and it was embarrassing. Like, and I say I've never lived that one down with some of the lads. Anyway, you like to remind me of that game all the time.
Fair enough, mate. So when did you feel established, or do you ever feel established in the second team? And talk us through some of your nice moments and your happy memories of second team rugby, mate.
I think it's like I say, once you get that first year, the first year I come back, obviously, I knew a lot of people from the club anyway, which helped a lot because I'd been up there before. And to be fair, they took to me, the older lads and stuff, like so Josh Payton and Josh Arch and stuff, who I'm good mates with now, took to me really well, and I took to them really well, and they sort of helped me feel established. And then, as I say, the last couple of seasons when I got the captaincy, that helps you even more with the established in that sort of side and environment. Probably best memories I remember, I think it might have been my first year. We won the league. That was a really good team. It was like Josh Payton, Josh Arge, Andy Owens come up for the first year at Openhagen and played really well. Obviously myself, Jack, a couple of our lads from our team. And then, to be honest, last couple of seasons I've really enjoyed it. But then last year, obviously it was bittersweet, like, but we come so close to winning that league last year. And obviously, if the league had been a bit more updated, you might have known that we could have won the league with a losing bonus point, but we didn't. So we didn't end up going for any penalties and stuff like that when really we probably should have, when we thought we had to score a try. But no, it's more, again, it's a good environment, the second team. It's all enjoyable, really. I haven't got many bad words to say about the second team. It's just sometimes it can be a little bit hard with, you get some people who are committed, and you do sometimes get them people who just want to sort of play social rugby sometimes. And sometimes in the past I've been guilty of it, sort of thing. And sometimes it's hard to coach, obviously, probably what you understand from the coaching side. And sometimes it is hard to sort of get them up for the games and stuff like that. But that's what you do get with all open age rugby, to be honest, I think.
Of course you do, mate. And like you said before, with the football, you get to a certain age, and it's the same in rugby. You can play rugby, or you need a bit of nurture. Yeah. If it open age rugby, you don't know the basics or can't do it, that's when you need to be coached. And to be quite honest, you're not going to get the coaching you need, because there's that many lads and that much going on where you can't pull yourself away to help that person. So the third team probably is the level, and that's it. But second team, there's no coaching involved, really. You're just trying to tell people what you see or what you've experienced, and if they want to take that on, they do. If they don't, we get results. We get it. It is what it is. I probably took it a bit too serious, to be honest. Only when you step away, you think, oh, you should have been a bit more light-hearted and stuff like that. But it's hindsight, innit? But it was a great team to be around. He's been a good crack in that, so we can't mourn, mate. And we went some shitty places and got some great results. But so what's that chat like when? Because I've no doubt it'd have been Dan, was it, that pulled you aside and said, "I'm looking at you as a captain. Is it something you want to do?" How did that chat go?
It was more towards yourselves and Watto, I think, wasn't it? Towards your back end, I think.
Yeah.
I think Dan was sort of starting to come in, wasn't he? And then Dan, yourself and Watto were still really involved. And I think Josh Payton and Tom Griff were sort of... Tom Griff was obviously coming to a bit of an end with the playing and stuff. And I think Josh Payton was a bit in between teams, wasn't he, at the time?
Yeah.
And I just remember them asking me, I think... I can't remember if it was yourself or Watto or Dan. I just remember being asked, and like I say, I do like I like being able to talk to the ref legally. To be honest, it helps me out a lot because I am very vocal, good way or bad way, towards the refs, and I try and keep the line. But sometimes I've been culprit to it. When I always remember when you pulled me off that game against can't remember where he was away, and we had the half-time team talk of whoever speaks to the referee next is getting pulled off. And anyway, I think I kicked the ball. I think it was playing 10. And I kicked the ball and this fella put one on me late, and I turned around and called him all sorts and called the ref all sorts, and you pulled me off and were like, "You're not going back on." And I was like, fair enough, like you can't do that, can you? Especially not when you're captain. But
you can
when you're captain, because you can't be calling the ref.
Not the ref, but if someone's going to put a late one on you, you're fully entitled to do what you need to do, mate. And I for one, ain't going to stop you doing what you need to do on someone doing that. But no, it's not that, like, without knowing it, mate, probably people are looking up to you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know yourself off, like, I'm not going to bad mouth him, I quite like the lad, but like Josh, you speak to referees after a first team game and he's the only one to remember, and it ain't for good reasons. And you know what, mate, referees talk and it sticks with them.
Yeah, it sticks and they'll remember them.
It does, and no matter how much he changes now, refs will be looking for him. And he might not say another word for another 10 years playing, but he'll get the blame for something he's not done.
Yeah.
And he will, unfortunately. So you've played a few first team games, mate, and you've been unlucky to be a travelling reserve, and that could be probably the last time I've seen you actually at the LSH final. I think you were a travelling reserve, weren't you? But how do you find that environment again? Because it's a step up, not a drastic one by no means, but I think the seriousness changes, like you mentioned before, doesn't it? Yeah. Characters aren't as open on a match day, are they? They're very directive, focus and intent on what they want to say to you. There's not a lot of givers to their mate on the match day with the first team. So how did you find it, and how are you coming in and out as well? Because I struggled with that at a young age, mate, to be honest. I didn't like it. I didn't know where I stood.
Yeah, to be honest, my outlook on it all has completely changed. Sort of, I'd probably say the last year and a half, I was a very strong believer of. I thought it was built up to be a lot that it wasn't when I first come up, and people were telling you how big of a step up it is. And sometimes, like you say, it's a step up, of course, physicality, fitness. You notice that massively when you step up. But this last sort of year and a half, I've completely changed the way I sort of look at it now. And I've really enjoyed playing under Andy Mack when I've been selected. I'm enjoying it as well because I think, to be honest, nowadays more of my friends are playing as well. Sort of friends outside of the Wids. Obviously, Tom, Jack's played quite a bit last year. Josh Kenyon, Jamie Patient, Will Patient. It's more sort of our group going up now, so it's a lot more enjoyable when you're playing as well. And I think, to be fair, people can say what they want, but to be fair, Andy Mack tells you why you get selected or why you're not, and that was one of my big pet peeves a few years ago, that you could play one week, play a decent game, and something might happen the week after you don't get selected. Whereas he'll actually justify why he's not picked you. Obviously, before the LSH game, he messaged me and stuff and said, obviously, there's a reason why you're not being you come in as a reserve, and you can fully, as long as they fully justify it, you don't mind. So it was it's good, and like I say, there is that sort of physicality and fitness step up massive. It's not a massive step up like you've said, but it's noticeable if you're not there, if you know what I mean.
No, it is, isn't it? Yeah. It's the same way. We only had to see that Lancashire Cup final with Preston, didn't we? And
yeah, that was. Yeah,
there was levels again, weren't it? Yeah, like as much as our lads played really well, just the fact how quick and clean they were.
Yeah.
Because let's not beat around the bush. The way they were celebrating stuff and that, they didn't smash no one.
No.
They didn't. They weren't amazing, like, without being rude to him. Yeah, they won comfortably in the end, but the basics were very good. The ball was very clean.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to break stride for a pass or attack. They done what they had to do.
Mm.
And they're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
You can see why they put bigger scores on so-called better teams than us. Because they were good at it. Fair play to Arnie and whoever helped him out. They were a good side.
Mm.
But we weren't a million miles away. It was just them fine margins, mate, in it, where some of our lads were having to break stride for a pass, missed a tackle, a drop pass. They weren't doing that.
No. And
that's the difference at that level. So future ambitions with your rugby, mate, would you be happy just to see your rugby career out with the twos, or are you pushing for first team rugby?
I'm pushing, but at the same time, it's not like I've said to you before. I'm not going to beat myself up if it doesn't come. I want it to come. Hopefully, Andy Mack and stuff think I'm good enough to do it. And like I say, I've played a couple of games back end last season for them and really enjoyed it. And obviously, come on in Lancashire Cup final. It was a really good experience to come up against a team like that. And like I say, yeah, I'm pushing, but like I say, it's not going to weigh me down if it doesn't.
Yeah. And on the job front, mate, are you looking for the MD's position or what?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to stop pushing on that one, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we get on to daft questions, mate, because I missed it and I was a little bit gutted about why I was Jerry.
Oh mate, it was unbelievable.
I can imagine.
It was unbelievable. It was support acts were a bit, but then when he come on, he put a show on. Like, to be fair.
Right. The old day was good, yeah. The travel up and stuff.
Day was a good set of lads, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to get. We ended up buying Wildy ended up buying a rocking horse off a homeless person for a tenner, which I thought was quite a good deal. When he went on eBay later on, it was getting sold for 25 quid. He was quite happy.
Profit's profit.
Profit's profit, mate. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't nice when you sat on the seat and it was soaking wet, like.
I don't want to know what with.
I didn't really want to know what was on the bottom of my shorts.
No.
Yeah, that was another experience. Like, but no, it was a cracking day, mate. To be fair, yeah, it was just a shame you weren't there.
So Liam's had a homeless guy off for 15 quid.
Yeah, but to be fair, it'd be quite interesting to see what the cleaners in the hotel thought of it, because obviously we didn't bring it back with us. So
did you? I thought you did.
The hotel room, yeah. So, it'd been interesting to see what they thought about that when they walked in the hotel room, like.
It'd be better than seeing what I think they probably half expected seeing, mate. So would buddy.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So daft questions, mate. So we'll start with any pre-match superstitions.
To be honest, I can't say I've got one. I always like to try and eat the same thing if I can, or I'll try and eat well if I can in the morning. Sometimes it's hard if I'm in work and stuff like that. And to be honest, even though I'm a captain, I've always liked to keep myself to myself before a game. I think I'd rather try and do it out on the pitch.
Yeah.
Obviously, before we go out, I don't mind having a chat with everyone, but in the change rooms, I always quite like to try and keep myself to myself, sit there, think about what I'm going to do in the game, think about what I've got to do for myself and what I need to do for other people and stuff, and that sort of thing. I wouldn't say I'm not one of these people who put my left sock on first, or me, or you know what I mean. I've got a pair of skins that I've worn since I was 5 and all that. And I'm not one of them sort of people, but like I say, I do try and eat well or try and eat the same, and like I say, try and keep myself to myself really before the game.
Right. So the toughest person you've played with or against. So say you obviously won't know a lot of blokes you play against, but if there's someone that stands out from somewhere where you thought, you know what, he's given me a day of it here. So the toughest you've played with and against.
It's an hard one, that one. I remember having a tough game against Aldwinians last year. They had a centre who was a good player. I think he might have been a first team centre, like, to be honest, when he played against us, but he was a good player. Trying to think, toughest player I've played with. It's hard, isn't it? Because there's completely different types of tough, isn't there, sometimes?
Well, that's exactly it. The definition's different, mate. Yeah.
You get people who just get knocked constantly, just get back up and get knocked back down. Like last year, like George, you played all year with an injury and just kept getting back up. And everyone says he's a bit of a bowling ball, a stumbling block, and you just see him like fellas running over him, and he'll just get back up.
He does, to be fair. Yeah.
Blood pissing out of his nose, and he just gets back up and he walks around like there's nothing happened. And
loves the beer as well.
And absolutely loves an ale, yeah.
So your favourite place you've been away to, as in ground-wise? Which you won't be blessed of playing in too many nice places, unfortunately.
I'm trying to think, we have good facilities, because like I say, there's not a lot, is there, to be truthfully honest. I generally think we've got one of the best facilities.
Hands down there.
When you go around to some places, and like I said before, Duckingfield, and go to places and the showers are dripping out one drop of water at a time and stuff, aren't they? I remember Vale Loon being all right.
Yeah.
Vale Loon was an all right ground when we went away there. They had a nice setup up there. Probably Vale Loon, to be fair. We don't really go to Cumbria anymore and stuff, do we, at the moment? So we don't seem to sense. Because I remember Penrith. I think Penrith had a decent setup, didn't we, when we went up to the semi-final that time?
I didn't come with you, but they do have a decent setup. Yeah.
Got the stand and stuff. I didn't play. I'd fractured my eye socket, so I didn't play. But I remember them having a decent setup there, a decent bar anyway, if nothing else.
Right. So, say you and the lads are out, mate. You've had a few. Microphone ends up in your hand. The volume's turned up. What you giving us?
One song I always sing: "Suspicious Minds." Every time, no matter what. No matter how many times Tom O'Neill says they can't sing it, it's getting sung.
And do you give us a 1-2 step and a click? Are you just someone that blasts it out?
Oh, I'll go for it with Suspicious Minds, like, yeah.
You give us the shuffle, yeah.
I'll give it a good go, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it down to a bit of a team now. Got it down to, got me act down now. Yeah.
I need to just whip a random song out, mate. You might have to just learn one for all people.
Try that one.
So, 1 to 15 that you've played with.
Right.
It could be schoolmates, with lads, whoever your mates. So you start from whatever position you want to start with, and tell me a little bit why.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this one because there's a couple of lads. I've warned one of the lads already. He won't be very happy when I've had to put him to get everyone in, because there's a couple of players where I've had to put them a little bit out. We played there, but I've had to put them a little bit out of position. So I'll start in the forwards, obviously. So the first one who's not going to be very happy is Tom. He's going at prop, Tom O'Neill. He played there under Paul Newall at Colton was in the first year, and to be honest, he was one of the only lads who actually stood up that first year from our age. And to do it in the front row was really impressive. And obviously, he's gone back to the back row now, where he was beforehand. But
too slim.
Exactly. Yeah, he's definitely going to go back to prop now, is he?
No.
So he's going to. I warned him before at training, so pre-warned him. But he's going to go at prop. So Hooker, Ben Mercer.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable player, but I've never seen someone have so many brain farts when it comes down to actually.
He's frustrated.
He'll run an absolute perfect line, get into the full back 2-on-1 and try and throw out the back of his hand, and you're just like, why have you just done that?
On a 10-man first ball.
Yeah, and it's mental because he's such a good player as well.
He is a good player, Ben.
Then the other prop's going to be Arnie. Played a bit of Arnie in the seconds when I first come up, to be fair. Deadly in the opposition's 22.
Flash 5.
Yeah. And he's a good, well, from what I can understand of props, he seems to be a good scrummager. And to be fair, he's a really good lad. He's always looked out for me. He tries to wind me up, but he always does apologise at the end of it and say, I'm always going to wind you up. So, and he goes in. Second row, first I'll put Lewis Bates in.
Yeah.
Obviously, unfortunately, he doesn't play anymore with his shoulder, but very, very good player again, especially in the lineouts and stuff. And he can play back row as well. He can mix it as well, Bates, to be fair.
Yeah, it's mobile, yeah.
And again, he's a top lad, so. Another one who will have to put out of position is Jack Gill. He's going to have to go in the second row.
Yeah.
Again, he's not going to like that, but he he's going to have to go in there. I can just when I go through my back row, he'll understand why. But no, Jack's a top man. Your best mate, like sort of thing. And I had to put. He's going in because he put me in as well, so I'll have to get him in there. But no, he's another lad who like you say, you coached him in the second team, and he seems to be honest, he's one of them players who probably, I'd say, has got a lot better since we've come to open age.
Yeah, he has just got better and better, to be fair.
He seems to be getting better and better at open age. I always wind him up because he won most improved at under 16s. And it always winds him up because he hates it.
He didn't share that with me, I'll tell you that.
It was like a spiky trophy, and I remember winding him up. He said, "I'm going to stick this in my own head here because it's winding me up. That just won most improved." And I don't let him forget about that one. But no, he does. He has massively improved, to be fair to him, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps and he sets the tone for the forwards in the seconds, and fair play to him. He stood up for the first this year and had a good crack. So into the back row, you can all sort of play across the back row, but first one I'm going to put in is Andy Preston.
Yeah.
You could probably play him 1 to 15 if you wanted to. And
Agreed.
He was the best player on the pitch. He was absolutely, Colts wise, he was there that first year when we went up and he was unbelievable. I think he played hooker 1 week. The week after he played 10. The week after he played 13 and 8, 7. And I think he might have even played prop 1 week when we were short. He was a cracking, very, very gifted player, Andy Preston, and then I'm going to go for both the Breedens, Josh and Alan, which I think will make a bit of a deadly duo. Obviously, we know what Alan's like now. Absolute freak of nature, isn't he?
Yeah.
But Josh was different. Josh was a bit of a freak, but technically wise, he's probably the best player I'd say I play with in the rucks and stuff like that as a back rower.
Yeah.
Again, he's one of them kids who used to score 100 tries a year when we were younger and used to be a back, and then he went into the back row as he got a bit older and stuff. And some of the stuff he used to, them ripping tackles, honestly, like I mentioned before, he'd go into a tackle and he'd come out with the ball every single time, and he was like, "How have you just done that?"
Yeah.
But no, he was very good. And I just wish he'd have been able to stay up a bit longer, to be honest, because he hasn't come into open age, Josh, has he? So.
Well, both lads have got something, haven't they? I'm shocked they don't get looked at.
Yeah, I think it's more on their own, like I say, more on their own accord that they don't get looked at, I think, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, I'd say so, mate, yeah.
So that's my forwards done anyway. So that's a pretty decent pack, I think. They'll mix up with a few people. A couple of lads are lucky to miss out, but there's only 1 to 15, isn't there?
That's it, mate, yeah.
Not even getting myself in. So,
Captain kicker, court.
To be honest, nine was a tough one. So I played with a few very good nines. Jack Jolly, Paul Cunningham, obviously Kenya at the moment, but I've gone with Jonesy.
Yeah.
Alex Jones. I think his kicking game's unbelievable, from 9. I've not seen a kicking game. Obviously, I've not played with a kicking game like it at 9. Obviously, I don't know with yourself. Obviously, you've played with some good 9s, but his game management as well from 9 is second to none. He's a cracking player. And to be honest, we missed him. Deck coming back end of the year and really stood up. To be fair, for us, Deck Rice, but Jonesy obviously before it was going to be a big miss with him breaking his ankle first game of the year last year.
Typical that. Must be something with football players, because I remember, sorry to interrupt you, mate, Beachy was very similar.
Yeah.
Beachy was a great player, but played 9 and 10.
Yeah.
But I think he got more frustrated at 10. And if he got frustrated, you lost him. He might as well not be there. But they've both therefore got something.
Yeah. But no, he's great. We'd like to say with his kicking game, it's really good. So.
Yeah.
Standoff, I'm going to go with Gaz Whitfield. I think he's a bit like Marmite. I think you either absolutely love him as a player or you can't stand him. But some of the things I've seen him do to be honest, Gaz only started playing probably 15s. When you watched him play, obviously you've played him a couple of times, haven't you? And he can be guilty of keeping hold of the ball sometimes when he shouldn't, but then sometimes you used to watch him from his own 22 and some of the things he used to do and score tries, and he was probably more of a fullback, but I've had to put him at 10 because I've got another lad at fullback. So
no worries, mate.
Then on one wing, I've gone for Sheldon.
Yeah.
Only man faster than him is probably my other winger. He was a cracking player, Sheldon. Played with him at Colts.
Yeah.
Again, didn't stay after Colts, did he? Really? He
had a bit of a spell with us, and then that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Inside centre, I'm going to go Matty Walker.
Yeah.
I say it every time I'm drunk, but Matty Walker is one of my favourite players ever. And it's just
so happens he's your back scots next year. It sounds like you're creeping a little bit,
exactly,
to be honest with you.
Not that's me, mate. Got something on the end of my nose there, but no. I always tell him, and I always tell everyone else, like, but when I'm drunk and making an idiot of myself, like, what I do generally think be missing massively. Like, I think it's such a shame that he can't play anymore. Like, I know he wants to. It's a shame because he generally wants to play. Like, and got people there who don't want to play and can play and he can't. Like, because every time he plays, he come back last year for a game and he wasn't meant to play. And he first tackle because he tackles around everyone's ankles, as you know. He got a boot to the face and that's our 5 stitches and stuff like that. And you're just like, he's come back for one game and but no, hopefully, fingers crossed for him. He finds his way with the coaching this year. Like, and he'll be a great addition, I think. Anyway.
No, I agree, mate.
13, going to go Sean Mack.
Yeah.
Obviously, never had the pleasure of playing with Tom Lapp, but I've never seen anyone tackle like Sean Mack.
It's just in the blood, I think, mate.
An absolute freak and a cracking player. A cracking player, anyway. But used to watch the first year at Colts at Lancashire Cup final. We probably heard this one. We were playing against Fylde in Lancashire Cup final at Wigan, and all week Paul Newall was on about this inside centre, Fylde captain, and all this, and great player. Don't let him step off his right foot and all this because he'll just go dead fast. Anyway, first tackle of the game, there 10 for a bit of a murder ball to him, opened his ribs up. Anyway, he didn't play the rest of the game. Sean Mack
dealt with him,
got him proper around his ribs, like, and didn't come back on this lad and set the tone for the game, really. Because obviously, as you probably know, Sean does get a lot very nervous with the games, doesn't he? And I think that probably helped him with that sort of side of things. But no, great player, but absolute monster in defence. Last second winger was a bit torn, but I was going to put someone in who's not really a winger, but to get him in, but I'm not going to now. So I'm going to put Butler on the other wing. Yep. James Butler. Only man who I've ever met who's probably faster than Sheldon, maybe Lee Holland. But great player for the twos. Obviously, makes a massive difference when he plays. Just a shame he doesn't play every week, really.
Yeah.
Fast, can catch, pass, kick. Great player, like. And then at fullback, Andy Owens. Obviously, a very, very good mate of mine, but also a very, very good rugby player, like, and fully deserves to be in the team. He obviously explored a little bit last year, and luckily to us come back, but because we were going to miss him massively if he had gone. But since he's come in, he's made that position his own, like, and fair play to him because his kicking game again from fullback is great, like, and speed and defence wise, he's great to have at fullback.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I think we've got a good team of drinkers there as well, so we'll have a good laugh.
To be fair, there is a few ailers there.
Yeah, few not very good ailers, like, but a few of us can make up for that. I'll put myself on the bench now. I'll watch them play anyway.
Yeah.